Hello everyone. Today's class is about James Milton Synge's Riders to the Sea, the one-act play. It was written in 1902 and it was published in Dublin and in London in March 1904. And talking about the one-act play Riders to the Sea, it was a product of James Synge's life among the peasants of the Aran Islands, which were a group of three rocky islands in the Western Ireland located at the mouth of the Galloway Bay. Synge went there to learn the Irish Gaelic language, and the people were Catholic and they were following the age-old pagan rituals and traditions. The presentation of the life of the Aran Islanders in Riders to the Sea, it really attracted W.B. Yeats, the leader of the Irish literary renaissance or the Celtic Twilight or the Celtic revival, which brought back the Irish tradition in literature and art through myths, through the representation of myths, legends, and culture of Ireland. With the Irish literary revival, these writers introduced the Anglo-Irish elements in their composition, with Irish elements but predominantly English elements. And you should refer to the glossary of literary terms by M.H. Abrams, and you should read the Irish literary revival. And the language Synge used in Riders to the Sea is Anglo-Irish, and the significance of this play, this one-act play in literature or in the context of Celtic revival is that it reflects the poorest of poor who live in the Aran Islands, whose conditions of poverty and hardship are the extreme poverty and hardship are presented in this one-act play. And these Aran Islanders, they were potato farmers, and the only means of their survival were the potato and the fish they got from the sea. See, it's a one-act play, and our play Riders to the Sea, it doesn't have have an extended or complex plot or that much complex character development. The play discusses very important human issues like the human destiny, the struggle with the society, the struggle with nature, natural forces, and the inevitability of death, and like the inevitability of death and suffering that we see in classical Greek tragedies. The play has a very thin plot line and it revolves around the reactions of three women, Maurya, Kathleen and Nora, to the death of two men, Michael and Bartley. Michael and Bartley, they are the last of men in that family, and Michael is already missing, and the news of his death reaches the women in the course of the play. And Bartley is still alive, but he dies during the play, leaving the women destitute and fight alone for survival. Let us discuss the story. When the play begins, when the play opens, Kathleen, the elder sister, she is kneading a cake, and later she seems to be spinning the wheel. And Nora, the other sister, comes in with a bundle in her hand, and Kathleen assures her that her mother or their mother, Maurya, is still asleep. And that bundle in the hands of Nora, it contains the belongings of a man who drowned in Donegal, and there is a young priest. He brought those clothes or the bundle to them so that they can identify if they belong to their brother Michael. And the young priest told them to assure that this bundle of clothes belongs to their brother Michael, to tell Maurya that her son Michael is no more. But Kathleen warns the young priest, to stop Bartley from going to the Galloway fair to sell the horses. But Nora says that the priest will not interfere in such things, and he has hope that God won't leave Maurya without a son living. But the sisters are afraid that the weather is really getting bad, and they are sad because they deep inside they know that if Bartley goes out, he may die. So both of them decided to hide the bundle from Maurya, and they kept it in the turf loft. You know what is a turf loft, because we already discussed all these things in our last 2-3 classes. Then suddenly Maurya comes in, and she is confident that the young priest will stop Bartley from going to the Konnimara market, but Nora says that he will not stop Bartley from going. Even as they speak, Bartley comes in to get a rope to use as a halter, but Maurya objects because she is saving it to lower the coffin of Michael. She thinks that a son is more important than 1,000 horses, and she doesn't want Bartley to go to the fair. She argues that they will be helpless if Bartley goes and dies. They won't be able to survive if Bartley drowns. But Bartley is determined to go to the fair, and Maurya calls him a cruel man. And now the boat is coming, and Bartley goes off, and Maurya says that she will, or they will never see him again, and she will not have any sons left. That was the last words of Maurya to Bartley. Kathleen scolds Maurya for sending Bartley without her blessings, and suddenly Kathleen remembers that they forgot to give him the bread they made, and she suddenly cuts the bread and asks Maurya to give it to him, and also told her to send him off with her blessings. And Maurya comments on the fate of the Aran women, that young people are leaving things for the old. And Maurya goes out to give the bread to Bartley, and at this time Kathleen and Nora checks the hidden bundle, and they identifies Michael's clothes and places them in a corner. And so Maurya returns without giving him the bread, without giving Bartley the bread, and Kathleen asks her the reason why she didn't give the bread to Bartley, and as an answer she just cries, and she says that she has seen a fearful thing which suddenly astonishes the daughters, because at the same time these daughters can see Bartley with a mare, riding a mare with a grey pony that is behind him, following him. And Maurya repeats what the sisters saw, but she sees Michael riding the pony, and Maurya realizes it as a bad omen which predicts Bartley's death. And she remembers how each man of her family or in her family died in the sea, and Maurya and daughters see the door. Suddenly they see the door opens and women started coming in. Maurya asks whether it is Patch or Michael, and Nora looks out and sees men carrying something that it is dripping, water is dripping, and it was Bartley's dead body, and they placed it on the table. When what happened is Bartley was knocked into the sea by the grey pony. Maurya and the girls kneel down to the dead body. Maurya says that the sea cannot do anything to her now, so she doesn't have to pray, she doesn't have to drink the holy water, she doesn't have to pray for anyone, and all her responsibilities are over now. And now she can have the great rest. Kathleen asks a man to make a coffin out of the whiteboard that has been kept by Maurya for Michael. And Maurya spreads out Michael's clothes to Bartley's body, sprinkle it with holy water, and she prays for him. The play ends when Maurya learns to be resigned to her fate. See, the play is about the fight against fate and the struggle against destiny. So now at the end of the play, Maurya learns to fight against her own destiny and to struggle against her own fate. It is the destiny of the people of the Aran Islands to perish in the sea, and the play depicts the women of Aran Islands. They come in terms with the fate that is lurking in their life, and they accept their destiny, and they get resigned to it, and they get a peaceful life by accepting what is in store for them if they want to exist. Okay, so another important struggle is the struggle of death. And as you know, death is an inevitable presence in all lives, and it's like a kind of shadow that follows the Aran Islanders. And as you know, death is a universal fact, and for in the case of Aran Islanders, the death is like a shadow which follows them. See, the tragedy is that these Aran Islanders, they are now in terms with the experience of death, and in that sense the play has the concept of death from beginning to the end. At the beginning, the death of Michael is in question, and it looms a large net of possibilities, and then the assurance of Michael after the death of Bartley. So the play is a rendition of death and how living beings accepts the inevitable claws of attack they might be suffering in their life. Our Maurya, she defines a tragic heroine. She's an embodiment of a tragic heroine because of her sufferings, and in spite of the fact that she is the leading character in our play, she rises to the level of a tragic heroine and someone who has passed through the tribulations of existence in order to reach the final acceptance of life forces. So she is a round character. Yeah, that's it. That's all about The Riders to the Sea by John Millington Synge. I hope you understood the study, and I hope it helps. See you.